Hey guys, my name is Ryan, and we're back again with another Spirit Island video. My last video was a bottom track game playing Stone against Habsburg 6. And one of the comments requested that I do the exact same matchup except go across the top track as a way to compare how the builds play out. So that's what we're going to do today. We got the same board, same spirit, and same adversary, but we're going to take a different approach on our build. So, on a surface level, what difference is going to be made? By going across the bottom track, we have less card plays and we have less energy, but we have access to our innates very fast. Whereas the opposite is true with a top track build. We're going to have significantly more energy, we're going to have more card plays, but we're not going to have access to our innate for a significantly longer time. Even when we get all the way across the top track, we're going to have 4 card plays, and as long as we're not on the reclaim, that means we're capped at only 4 Earth. We will not have access to the extra 50% damage unless if we're on the reclaim. So that completely changes how we're going to approach the game, and well, let's see how it happens. We're opening up here with a Mountains Explorer, and with this board, and I think it's also board F, I think it's board F with the wetlands, where we're actually going to create a pocket after the first build. Because the towns are going to gather, that means that this sands up here is not going to have a source for explorers. So the absolute high roll would be for us to get a sands next. We'll see how lucky we get, but with this mountain setup, we could always look for some kind of a stubborn solidity play in order to protect this. Over here, it's probably just going to be using our innate to prevent a loss condition from coming down. But there's nothing really clear that we should be doing here, so we're just going to gain some cards and see if we can draft ourselves into a better game plan. And Infested Aquifers is actually an interesting one. Plow Shatter is normally not a great card, but it does do 1 damage to every building. And Infested Aquifers can also do 1 damage to everything. So between the two of them, you can make a fairly interesting combination. Not sure how good it is, but it sure is interesting. Another one that's interesting to me is this Dire Metamorphosis. So we could kill an Explorer, strife one of the 2 towns, and then it would be left with a unstrifed town. The problem with that is that the bonus 2 damage from adjacency means that the Stubborn Solidity will not do the trick for us. So I don't think we want to be adding extra blight unnecessarily. It is kind of cute and fun to do it in land number 4 since we have our presence here, but I don't think that's the game-winning line. I don't think any of these are particularly compelling. So we're probably just going to open up with like a Jagged Shards just to kick around some Dahan for value. And I'm probably going to grow here into H6, so that way we can bring our H8 Dahan into the game and hopefully find somewhere down the line where it can become useful. As for what I take this turn, I don't think any of these is really going to be the cornerstone of our game plan, but Disease is nice in order to stop there from being an excessive amount of towns, because it's a little bit of control over the game. So that's what we're going to do. In this matchup, we have Inevitability, so we're just kind of biding our time. Oh, let's go! We got the high roll. We're just kind of biding our time until we get our inevitable finish. So, especially when we got that kind of a high roll, we're just sitting in a really good place. Probably going to play Stubborn Solidity right here. We do have access to a second card play. A cool trick that you can do is we can gain a card, and we're going to gain a free minor here. So you could add a presence, gain a minor, and then gain a major and forget that card. But considering that Plow Shatter is a pretty terrible card, we're just going to go for the major immediately. So that way the minor that we gain afterwards could hopefully give us some kind of supporting elements. So Walls of Rock and Thorn is a very compelling card. The Sands is out of the game, really, it's pocketed, but the jungles and the mountains are all definitely in the game, so it's a very relevant card. And As much as we're only one element for our whole spirit, we do have a splash of green and a splash of sun, and that does cover everything if we care about that. Um, Twisted Flowers is kind of a meme. Not a very good card. I think we just take Walls of Rock and Thorn. It's one of those cards you can't get mad at. Get rid of this Plow's Shatter. And now when we go to gain our card, we can maybe pick up some kind of Dahan movement or something, now that we have the context of Walls of Rock and Thorn. We are going to place this here in the 2. And Nature's Resilience is a very compelling card. Ooh, by placing our presence here, that means we actually don't have access to a Sacred Site, which really means we're just playing Stubborn and Infested Aquifers, which is fine. We're not really in a position yet where, we have to be all over the place. I'll just put in my presence there so we could elect to reclaim into bonus Earth to fight back here in the 2. I think Nature's Resilience is just such a good card, although I do wonder if we're too heavy on Dahan defense and we don't have sufficient Dahan movement. But this is a pretty terrible Dahan movement card, so we'll just stick with the card that's always going to be good. Okay, replacing towns with cities. Normally, this card is not a big deal. Against Habsburg, it has all kinds of wild implications, where all of a sudden, like, you could turn off Habsburg 6, because now there's no towns adjacent. Habsburg 1, now there's not going to be towns to gather. Like right here, this is going to transform one of the towns up. Other town dies, nothing to gather. It's just some fascinating implications with this event. Stricken does nothing. And then some Dahan movement that also doesn't do anything. Normally this would kick the Dahan out, but because Stubborn Solidity, it just says like nothing happens. Also take note that it was an 8 damage Ravage, but this 1 defense saved us from a lost condition. So that's a big deal. And this back-to-back is also a big deal. I think here, we actually might add the disease to the 6. It does open it up to us getting, disease kills Dahan, which considering all the defense that we have is not super nice. So we're just going to add the disease here. We really want to keep our Dahan around considering all of our defense. So this round we have all of these Sacred Sites. So I think we definitely just want to reclaim our cards here. Might as well pick up the... Actually, we only got 2 card plays, so we're not even going to be able to hit the 50% bonus. But we do want to remove this Blight because we're only going to be able to add 1 presence here. We don't want to have that cascade happen. And the other card, we're probably just going to do Jagged Shards and just get all these Dahan into the game. Next turn, going to be using Walls of Rock and Thorn here. Probably Stubborn Solidity over here. If we Walls of Rock and Thorn here, then we can probably just use Garden Stony Land here to fully clear this city. Exactly 1 coastal city. Oh, the other event got in the way. Push a town per 2 Dahan. Not relevant. Pay an energy. And then we get our 2 damage. Okay, this is a really important land to control. With all these Dahan counterattacking, it will full clear the land. And we do escalate 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to put this up here. Gather in this way. And let's see, this is already enough to full clear this. So I'm thinking we might go Stubborn Solidity, Walls of Rock and Thorn, and Nature's Resilience for my 3 cards for next turn. We do also get Threshold on Walls of Rock and Thorn over here, so that's particularly nice. That'll just give us really nice control over everything. There will be the reminder card coming up, but it adds a coastal city. We can add it like over here in the sands. We can leave this empty. And then we're going to have to add a second presence here in this jungle. We might even reclaim, just because it's going to be a pretty built-up land. Or we might just go for the Walls of Rock and Thorn, which would also take a reclaim. But we already have the cards that we want. So I'm thinking we might just go for the energy here. We're going to pick up a free miner anyways, and we're happy with the major that we've got. So we will do this. And if we reclaim, that's how we can get our double presence here. So instead, I'm going to add my presence over here just to play around some kind of bonus damage. We can at least pay the energy instead of taking it from taking it off the card. But what do we have over here? Call to Trade is actually super fun because as we start to prepare for the massive 50% counterattack, the Call to Trade kind of plays into that a little bit by building up the land more and more and more. So this is what I'm going to take. Yeah, with only 3, it's going to be a small counterattack, and that's okay. We will Walls of Rock and Thorn with Threshold right here. Or do we want to clear the 2 towns? Doesn't matter. We're gathering the town in this way. But if we clear the 2 towns, then we can negate bonus damage in this land, so the Stubborn Solidity will prevent Blight from coming down. So let's reset that damage. Let's just get rid of all the towns. Do this, and we can do this. But the way this is lined up, we should still take some damage. So that, I think we should be able to full clear the land anyways, but this just kind of gives us insurance. Also, there's really nowhere else that's relevant to put it. Unless if we wanted to put it here, but even if we were to get the bonus damage from Habsburg, it's still fully defended. So at least this, 3 damage coming in with the 2 will be covered. Beast kills explorers. Excellent. Strife in a land with Dahan is not going to make any difference because everything is dying. That Badlands lets us kill that city anyways. This works out pretty nice for us. Once again, we're hoping I roll for the sands. Aww. Never lucky. Escalate. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, we do need to add 1 town. And then we get the reminder card. So since we've already... Oh no, this is jungles right now. Yeah, and that's totally fine. Because this is 6... this is 5, 6, 7 damage, so we can still just defend it for 6 and we're A-okay. And we can reclaim right here. So we get our big fat counterattack. Let's see. I mean, at this point, we've already reached like peak strength for Habsburg. Basically, once they hit that reminder card, they just get weaker over the course of the game, and we're in a very stable, very strong position. So it really doesn't matter what we do. The game has a lot of inevitability at this point. So we're just kind of playing cards, keeping ourselves alive. We could also just go for the Stubborn Solidity to play around one last escalation. That would also full clear the land. But I like the idea of trying to have as little blight on the board as possible, considering how strong our position already is. So if we're going to go with that strategy, Scarred and Stony Land, and I don't know, probably this, move some Dahan around, prepare for the next thing. Ooh, bonus damage. That's going to kill off one of our Dahan. Okay, that's fine. We can discard this, pay 2 energy. And then add a beast to a jungle without blight. Cool, we'll take the free fear. And get a free wilds. We already have a wild here, and we can add wilds into these jungles. So let's just go right here. Okay, well that 1 damage will turn into 2 damage and full clear this land, which is particularly nice because of the wilds. And there's a 50% chance of us getting mountains on this next turn. It's either mountains or sands. So we're guaranteed to get value from these wilds. So this one's going to be sad. We're going to lose a Dahan. But we do get the full clear. And we clear here as well. Game is very stable. Like I said, we just gotta, just make it happen. Looking at the sands next, so that's empty. We could. I'm actually considering doing like Jagged Shards and then Scarred and Stony Land just to clear a city out. Otherwise, I don't see a ton of value for this Jagged Shards because our Walls of Rock and Thorn isn't going to be used for the next couple turns. Not sure if we want to reclaim for this Nature's Resilience. So I think we can just play for just to clean up some cities. Probably just going to pay for the Blight on these 2 cards. So if we go for minor, Stubborn Solidity, Infested Aquifers, and we're going to gain 2 more cards because this Stubborn Solidity isn't going to do anything. The other idea is to go for a major, but I think we want to save our energy because we're going to be paying for these to come down so we don't get the lost conditions. And yeah, Hazard Spread, just adding those Badlands all over the place. You'll love to see it. And then, we have more defense options in case we didn't have enough defense. The Shadows of the Burning Forest is also not going to be super useful this turn. Carapace Land with the big defense. None of these are going to do a ton, although Gift of Nature's Connection will allow us to hit 5 Earth this turn, so that's definitely the pick. Yeah, we got 1 more card play, we'll just take the cheap one. Walls of Rock and Thorn could be used to kill this city, but that's not going to win us the game, and so that's just a waste of energy right now. Gain 2 of a single element. Now we get our nice big counterattack. It's just strictly better to do it in the land with the Badlands. So we will go here, and in fact we'll even add another Badlands. Stubborn Solidity doesn't do anything, but we'll put it here to play around something like killing off a single Dahan with that Cultural Assimilation. Okay, I think we have 9 buildings on the board, so I think we skip up here. Yeah, 8 towns and a city. So that's nice. That makes our position mildly easier. 2 beasts. We did get that extra beast earlier. We're just the luckiest players. Okay, Dahan Defend doesn't do anything. Scapegoats, level 2, just kills off a whole bunch of explorers. Beast Disease Dahan gets us a Strife. Only 1 legal land. We get that nice clear up, which means now there's no adjacent towns to gather into this land number 2. And now, because of the Badlands and this disease, we can actually use this Infested Aquifers in order to kill that city. I like that quite a bit. So now, we're kind of in that position where they're not going to be adding any more cities for the rest of the game. All we have to do is produce enough fear to get to terror level 3. I mean, it is going to take a while, but the game is that much shorter. We only need to make it this far as opposed to like this far in order to win the game. Hmm. So I'm thinking. I mean, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. We could just take 6 damage there, and it really doesn't matter. And then we can just focus on playing a bunch of offensive cards in order to win the rest of the board. So it's not super optimal taking a blight off the card, but at the same time, we've only had that happen once all game. So it's really not a big deal. We'll go here, so that way now we have a sacred site adjacent to everything, as well as anywhere that we have blight. And we can basically just go full offense. So we do want the Stubborn Solidity because the Badlands, when you have Badlands, Explorers, and Dahan, the Explorer will kill a Dahan. And we don't want that to happen, so we'll protect ourselves here. Over here, we're probably just going to take it, but we'll just continue our blight removal plan. And then otherwise, we're just chilling. We actually don't have that much in the way of offense, so maybe we do aquifers to kind of set something up. Maybe we'll just do a hazard spread just to, just get more Badlands out there on the table. We're kind of in a holding position. Definitely going for a major next turn, hoping for something a little bit more proactive, because this Walls of Rock and Thorn will go into one of our jungles, but otherwise, and then growing into this land, using Scarred and Stony right here. I think we'll do this, and then, yeah, we'll probably kick some Dahan around. Why not? Okay. Ooh, interesting. Now, if only, we could do things in different order and I could jump my presence over and then use my innate, but alas, we cannot. So in this situation, I'm inclined to just forget a card. This Call to Trade is probably not going to get used. It was a funny idea, but it's just not going to happen. And then we could move a presence up here just to protect our card. We have plenty of energy. And we'll even be gaining more energy. We could also get this presence into the game. Let's forget this Call to Trade. We can move you over here, and we'll move... since we know that this is now going to be fully defended, we can move him up here. Explore town from a coastal land. Fantastic. Denying the build is always very nice. And because it's a jungle sands, it can't gather from the sands. Therefore, H1 is fully solved. Okay. So we're planning on using Walls of Rock and Thorn right here. So this land is good. So we just need to interact with land number 8. So we'll just throw a Badlands down and then go for this. It is worth considering doing something like a Nature's Resilience kind of play in there, but this kind of seems more fun to me. All right, let's pull a sweet major and end it. Instruments, Pillar, Infinite Vitality, Mist of Oblivion. I think, well, Pillar is definitely the most fun, although there's really no activity that's big enough anywhere for that to really matter. Really, all we have to do is fast kill that one town in this wetlands. Everything else is fully solved. So, I don't really know what I was hunting for. Like I said, we got a lot of inevitability in this matchup. You can kind of just do whatever the heck you want, and it turns out just fine. We'll take Pillar. No one loves that card. We need to show the card love because no one else does. We're just going to add another presence over here just in case something silly happens. I mean, do we play the Pillar? It'll gather into this land before. So yeah, I mean, we can use it in a slow it'll gather this town in, use the Pillar to kill it. So we'll do that instead of this Infested Aquifers, which isn't doing anything. Give ourselves some Earth. Towns, go here, and then we're going to defend this land. Jungle wetlands with the most buildings gets a disease. Excellent. Ooh, from free blight removal. Let's go. We will get rid of it from you. Free defense, free energy. Always lucky. Oh, dang, we do have to kill that guy. That's alright. Like I said, there's a lot of inevitability in this matchup. All we need is 3 more fear or to kill 1 town. Do we have any fast ways of killing the town? Yes, we do. We have Walls of Rock and Thorn. So we'll just go for the Reclaim. Or we could have gained energy and hit that Reclaim 1. But we play our Walls of Rock and Thorn. And life is good. And that's the game. So as you could see, when we were playing through the top track as opposed to the bottom track, we were able to pull these majors and use them to great effect. We also had plenty of cards to gain with all the free cards you gain across the top track. And so we're playing primarily through our cards as opposed to through our innate. Over the course of that game, I think we only had maybe 2 pertinent counterattacks where the fact that we got the bonus damage off of the 5 Earth actually mattered. And I think one of them was like this guy up here where it made the difference of killing 1 single town. So we could play fully through our cards and really just use our left innate to stave off any lost conditions and prevent us from flipping over the Blight card. Both strategies are definitely viable into this matchup. You might have mixed success depending on the nature of the matchup. However, I think I'm not going to spend too much more time exploring the Spirit. It's one that I generally find to be a bit overpowered and a bit too easy to play. Whenever I play him, I try and I just don't even take the free cards off of the top track because it's just too much. And I feel like there's not enough challenging decisions to be made with the Spirit. And so there's just less satisfaction that comes from winning with a guy that is so strong. I mean, we ended the game with a full Blight card. Full Blight card, and so everything here was just added from our innate, which is just so strong. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and have yourself a wonderful day.